Hi, everybody, and welcome to the What the Warehouse Show. My name is Matt Brown. I'm the co host of this What the Warehouse Show. And with me is my other co host, Craig Collins, the founder of Granite. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. How's it going, everyone?
Well, it's going really well, and it's been a lot of work getting here. But we're super excited to have this initial launch episode. There's a lot of great stuff coming your way, guys. So please do stick around and subscribe to the What the Warehouse Show wherever you are catching this content. So, Craig, you are in New Jersey. You're from South Africa, as am I. I'm in Denver. We seem to be invading the US, but for very good reason, because we've got amazing propositions that are really helping to solve amazing or difficult challenges for companies. In your case, it's warehouses, right? And so we're going to get into the meat and the potatoes around that in a moment. But Craig, if you would, for our viewers and listeners around the world, if you would just maybe paint a picture of your background and maybe give us the origin story to Granite WMS.
Sure, Matt. Yeah. So I am a computer programmer. I studied at University of Cape Town, and I really just wanted to code. That's how I started, and got into the barcoding industry early on. I think I was 19 years old, and I had a vac job doing some programming for some old barcode scanners. We're talking about in 1987 when the barcode scanner was a little pen. And I wrote some codes, did pretty well, and ended up becoming a director of the business that I was involved with. And having to learn some of the soft skills of selling and business in general and things like that. So as my career developed, I moved out of the programming and the technical space and ended up being in charge of operations, sales operations, technical, and having a whole lot of different roles in various uh, companies, and ended up in 2000 helping my wife start a company called Cradle Technology. And then in 2006, joined Cradle full time to build out a solutions company. And in 2009, we started work on a software package, which at the time we had called Granite. And that's the short story. Granite became sort of quite popular, and it's interesting, these growth stories. You start off with one site in the first year, and then you sign three sites the next year, and you have four sites. The following year you double it, but you've only got eight sites, and next year you double it and you have 16 sites. So it's been one of those sort of slogging growth stories, and we funded it, bootstrapped the business. So we were selling the system and using that to fund further development. But today we have over 210 sites, and we started subscription billing on these in 2019. So a number of those are subscription, and our business model today is purely subscription. So Granite has evolved over the years. We've been in the market for almost 10 years now, and uh, it's very important to us to stay current with the latest technology. And the latest version of Granite is has no technical debt in it whatsoever. And we are really excited about what we're doing around the flexibility and the ability of the product to meet the market requirements. Personally, I am um, a Cape Town boy through and through. I don't intend moving permanently to the United States. I will still retain my base in Cape Town and family in Cape Town, but I love it here. I'm sitting in New Jersey now. I've finally got an apartment. It's no longer 6 week stints in a small hotel room. And I am looking out of the window and looking at what's arguably the greatest city in the world, New York across the river. And it's just so exciting to be here. And, when one looks at the market in the United States, it's just mind blowing what opportunities there are in the space. Just in New Jersey and New York alone, we're talking about 30,000 food companies. It's just insane, the numbers. So I'm really excited about what we can do in this marketplace. And coming from Africa, where we've had to build systems that are stable, strong, um, easy to use. It's something that is really able to take this US market by storm. So we're totally excited by what's happening here, and I'm really excited to be in the city.
Well, it's great to have a fellow Safa in the US. So we were actually talking about the New Jersey market, and there's over 12,000 companies with warehouses just in New Jersey and New York. And if you look at just New Jersey, there's around 4,500 or so. And then of that base, there's roughly 400 or over 400, 420, I think the number was, of warehouse manufacturing companies in food and beverage alone, by the way,
Yeah.
that are growing, that have exhibited a 10 to 20% growth in the last 12 months. That's a phenomenal market opportunity, but also it gives you, with this intellectual property, with this software that has been purpose built to solve a lot of the problems of warehouses, to really make a difference.
Yeah, we're really mind blown by the number of opportunities and also by the lack of deployment of technology in these companies. In that target market that you just identified, uh, the reality is that so many of them are still using pen and paper and Excel to drive their warehouses. So that's what's even more exciting, is that they're not, or they haven't to date adopted the technology that we're bringing to the table.
So, Craig, why is that? Like, is it just because they don't know any better, or is it because they're sitting with systems with technical debt, or are they too busy?
You know, I've been thinking a lot about it. And I think what it is they're small companies, family owned, family run, that have just grown so rapidly that the best that they could do was put these paper-based systems in place. And then they've just gotten really busy. They haven't gotten to the point where they build processes and build rigid structures in their businesses yet. And it's the sweet spot for us. It's these sort of mid-market companies that are family run, and they now have grown to the point where they either need to sell out to a corporate or a private equity investor or something like that, or they need to grow the business by putting processes, best practices, and systems in place. And it just is coincidental that it's our sweet spot. They haven't deployed technology yet, and they now need to, and we're knocking on their door.
So, Craig, you've actually achieved some amazing traction in the short time that you've been in New Jersey. What does your customer look like? I mean, I know you've got a lot of sort of traction within a particular niche within New Jersey, but I'd love for you to paint a picture for our viewers and listeners around the world. Like, what kind of traction are you seeing, or have you achieved on the ground in New Jersey?
So we've done a lot of work with a partner in the Jewish market space. So a lot of our customers are Jewish owned or run businesses. And, obviously this is New York, New Jersey. It has a massive Jewish population. And by working together with the partner, it allowed us to break into that market. And the typical customer is sort of 10 to a couple of hundred employees. They've got one or two warehouses, they're a distributor of product. And it's fascinating because in this community that we're working in, they firstly, they don't enjoy contracts. So, a lot of it is word of mouth, a lot of it is handshake business. And, when I say to someone, well, how do you receive goods? And they say, well, it arrives at the door and we check it in. And I say, well, do you have a purchase order? And some of the companies say, well, what's a purchase order? And this is the culture. It's a culture of trust. It's a culture of, we do business together, you deliver stuff and I pay you and we make things happen. And obviously that's not sustainable as the company grows larger, but it's part of the culture of the way that the existing customers that we have work. The other benefit of that group is that they spread the word. So when you do a good job, they tell each other. And a lot of people are saying to existing customers, well, how's your warehouse system running? Or how's that project that you're working on? So that gives us an in to these opportunities. But the reality is that it's not only the Jewish businesses, it's the pace of having to do business here that people just have forgotten to put the systems in, and they've just grown their businesses. Now, that's not to say they're not putting in systems, and they haven't, but it's always in their plan to improve and put additional technology in place. The other thing is that these businesses are growing. So a lot of them are warehouses in Brooklyn, for example, that have grown out of their socks. And in Brooklyn, there's a term, a Brooklyn warehouse. Now, Brooklyn warehouse means that you're in a basement and you've just got stock everywhere. You can hardly walk in the place. It's not really organized. And it's really almost impossible for a warehouse system to take control of that environment. We're able to do it, but it's very difficult to get formalized processes, to get scanners to tell you where to go and things like that in a Brooklyn warehouse. Fortunately, it seems that the perfect size customer is the one that's looking to move to New Jersey. And property is cheaper in New Jersey. It's more available. You can get a bigger space. And the warehouse that they currently own in Brooklyn has gone up tremendously in value. The property value is insane. So they're able to leverage that property value to expand into a big new modern facility in New Jersey. And that's where we come along. So we're helping them move, we're helping them expand in New Jersey, and we're putting those processes in place as part of their growth strategy.
So, Craig, where does this problem manifest? If you think about a warehouse operationally, what are some of the common issues that most warehouse managers would be familiar with? For instance, picking or packing, or whatever the case might be.
The first indication that you've got problems in your warehouse is when your customers are calling you and saying, either I didn't get my stuff, or you shipped me the wrong stuff, or the truck's coming back with the returned orders on it. So that's the first sign that they get. And what's happening is the reason we're not sending out the right stuff, or we're sending out wrong stuff, is because of the picking and the velocity of picking in the warehouse. So the guys are frantic. They're running around like crazy. And part of picking is getting it right. Now, what happens is they see on a piece of paper that they need a 5-liter drum of chemicals, and they go to the 25-liter drum of the same product, and they take the 25-liter drum by accident, or because they just didn't read correctly. So what happens is they've given the customer a 25-liter drum instead of a 5-liter drum. And there's no real strong indication on the documentation other than that little unit of measure on the picking slip. The other thing is that what happens is the guys don't know where the stock is. So they go looking for the stock. They can't find it. Now, we know it's in the warehouse, but they can't find it. So they're short shipped to the customer. The net effect is unhappy customers. And that comes back down to the salespeople and ultimately to the business owner. So that's when they start realizing that they've got a problem, is that they're making mistakes in the warehouse. The next symptom is just the sheer volume of stock on the floor. They're not getting it into the bins. It's stuck all over the place. And that tends to indicate that they've got a problem with the inventory on hand. So they're buying too much, possibly of the wrong stock. Because, one of the things I learned about business in the Jewish sense is stock holding is not a problem. And in modern supply chain theory, we try and reduce stock. But in the Jewish businessman's mind, stock is money. They don't want to reduce the stock. The key is to get the right stock holding. Now, you can't optimize what stock you've got if you haven't got a handle on what you've got and which products you're carrying and what the velocity is of the products going out the door. So by reporting and capturing that information, knowing where the stock is in the warehouse, we're able to improve that picture for them. And it's really those symptoms when you walk in the warehouse. And this is why I love walking in the warehouse, because I can immediately see that they've got a growth problem when there's stock all over. You go up to a bin location and there's 5 items in it. Some of the items are covered in dust and the other items are moving ridiculously fast. You know that they've got stock issues. They can't find stock. And then you go and you look at their return section. You look at what's coming back in returns. And, when I walk with a customer or a business owner in one of these warehouses, it's the same story. They have these challenges. Now, the nice thing about these warehouses is they're all different. There's always a different process. There's always a different way of doing things. The problems are sometimes the same, but they're framed differently. And it's what I love by walking through these warehouses and identifying these things. And then there are other little things, things like housekeeping. When the guys are working frantically, what they're doing is they're ripping off packaging, they're ripping off shrink wrap, and they're leaving it in the aisle. So just by looking at the state of the warehouse, you can immediately tell how busy and how frantic those operators are, and whether they've got processes and systems and best practices in place.
So Craig, let's maybe talk a little bit about how you help warehouse managers solve some of these issues. So what is Granite warehouse management software or solution, or the solution? Like, this is obviously the What the Warehouse show powered by Granite. So so what is Granite exactly?
So Granite is a warehouse management system. Now, by definition, that means that we have a high level of granularity in tracking what's in the warehouse. So the difference between an accounting system or an inventory system and a warehouse management system is essentially that in an accounting system, you know the stock item code and how much you've got. That's it. You might know that it's in the warehouse. If you've got 4 warehouses, you'll know which warehouse it's in. But you don't necessarily have the granularity of which physical bin location it's in. And then, so a warehouse system gives you that level of granularity, but then we go to a level deeper than that. And we say, which box is in the warehouse, or which pallet, or which drum. So I have a pallet with 4 drums of chemicals. Each drum has got a unique serialized barcode on it that tells us which drum it is, what its lot number is, when it was manufactured, when it came into the warehouse, and I can go and look up who received that pallet of stock. So it's about the granularity of information. Then what we do is we take the process. So let's say the receiving process or the picking process, and we map that out into the software as a sequence of steps. So the sequence of steps, using this granular identification or labeling of stock, and we bring it all together with barcode scanning. So the sequence of steps says to you, go to the location and scan the location. You do that. And then it says, scan the product. Now you scan this unique box and we know what's in that box. We make sure that that is the right unit of measure or the right product that's on your order. So by taking these processes, simplifying them as much as possible, because we know that a forklift driver is now going to be given a handheld computer, and we've got to keep it simple for them. This is the mistake that a lot of our competitors make, is that their system is too complex. We built it in Africa. We need to keep it simple. And honestly, that is what works in the average warehouse anywhere in the world. So you keep it simple, you keep the process as simple and standard as possible, follow best practice, validate, and have granular data. Then what we do is, so we've got the traceability, we've got the proper identification and labeling, we've got the granular level of data, including things like lot numbers and expiry dates. And then we can manage the validation to make sure that the person doing the job, let's say you're picking food products and you need to pick the oldest or the first expired product. If you scan that barcode on a box, I know that that's not the oldest box. The accounting system has got no way of telling you which is the oldest box, but the warehouse system does. And by scanning it, I can give them a big red error message saying, that box is not the oldest box in the warehouse. Go to this location where you should find the oldest box. And bringing this all together, we give you the best practice. We give you the workflow and a simple to use interface for the operator. And then the ability to report on this and go and zoom into the data and say, well, who did something? When did they do it? Did they do it right? Did we pick short? What did we do? So I've got reporting and traceability at this granular level.
Amazing. Craig, what do you say to people who are like, yeah, but you built this in Africa. I don't think it's fit for a New Jersey warehouse. What do you say to that?
The proof is in the pudding. We've got 10 New Jersey warehouses now, operating the system, and our customers are happy. That's the first thing. And we're doing some amazing things. A lot of them have moved beyond that simple stage of just scan this, scan this, scan this. So Granite brings a level of flexibility, and our implementation methodology brings this flexibility to the party. So what happens is we start off really simple, but that doesn't mean Granite hasn't got the capability of being complex. It doesn't mean that we haven't got the capability of taking you through a walk sequence in your warehouse to choose the heaviest products before the lightest products. We've still got that capability. It's just that when you first start, when someone moves from paper to a scanning system, you can't give them a Ferrari. They need to still learn how to ride a bicycle, So you give them the basics, you let them work on it. And then part of our implementation methodology is that we improve the operation and the processes as they mature. So it means that we've built more complexity and more capability into it. So yes, we built it in Africa. What that means is that it's stable, it's easy to use, and it's simple and quick to implement. What we are able to do with it in the bigger and more complex warehouses, and we have a number of case studies to show this, is we can do wave picking, we can do the complex stuff that warehouse systems allow you to go to. One of my customers here in New Jersey, it's a chemical manufacturer and distributor, cleaning products. They have some real complexity around the manner that they pick an entire truck. So one guy picks everything for the truck, but he has to optimize the way he walks through the warehouse pallet by pallet for the 12 pallets that's going to fit in the truck. And we're able to deliver that level of complexity in the process so that he can just fly through that work.
Fantastic, Craig. You're going to be going to the KosherFest in New Jersey on November 8th and 9th. I'll be there with you. We're going to be launching What the Warehouse officially at KosherFest. Why KosherFest? What's that about?
Hey, we're going to have fun there. KosherFest is sort of the biggest kosher food exhibition marketplace in New Jersey or in the New York area. So we know that a lot of our customers are food industry and in the Jewish community. So when I saw KosherFest, I thought, you know what, that's a good space for us. Secondly, the kosher food market is not limited to kosher. There's some really interesting marketplaces there. So for example, something I didn't know is that one of the biggest communities that buys kosher wine are the Japanese. And the reason is because they like the cleanness of kosher wine, which is in fact boiled, and they have this amazing process of getting the wine to taste good even after boiling it. That's just one example. There is this perception in the kosher food market that it is clean, that it's gone through additional inspections. And in fact, we know this from some of our customers. One of our customers, the rabbi works on site in the factory and warehouse and make sure that everything that comes out of that factory is kosher. So it's a great marketplace to be in. It's a great opportunity to focus on the food industry and in a community where we already have existing customers, valuable references, and some of our customers will even be at the KosherFest. Now, what's also exciting is we're going to be totally out of place. Okay, I'm going to be there with you doing a warehouse show in the middle of a place where their primary objective is to hand out food samples to buy it. So it's going to be really cool.
Well, I'm super excited about that too. Not only because I think it's an interesting opportunity to really demonstrate what you've built as a brand and as a solution. And also just to help out. And I think this is what the Warehouse show is really going to be all about. It's about helping warehouse managers, owners of food and beverage manufacturing companies, and any other kind of manufacturing and warehouse company really do better at their warehouse management operations. Because as we know, if we can get that right, then there's opportunities to scale, increase margin, happier workforce. Like, the benefits are really tangible.
Absolutely, yeah. It's super exciting, and I think the platform is a great testing ground for this type of approach, where we're going to be talking to people about the challenges they've got. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Craig, thank you so much for being here. Next time you'll be hosting this.
Can't wait.
It's going to be fun. And if you guys are in New Jersey and you are watching this, we would love to see you at KosherFest. If not, please do reach out to Craig at Granite WMS.com. We would love to hear from you. So this is Matt signing out. Craig, any final words?
Matt, nothing other than I'm going into the city now to enjoy some of the food that we may have tracked.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all again soon. Cheers.